everybody. Welcome. It's time to do the North to Wharf time. Good to see you, everybody, on a happy St. Patrick's Day to you all. Magoosh!
I was wondering where that was coming from, but I didn't realize.
Yeah. No, I got it.
Somehow I became the most Irish of the three of us.
I'm from the Philippines.
Yeah. There's some red in here somewhere. I'm not sure where, but it's here.
Yes, it's behind that lovely facial hair that keeps you from turning your entire throat when you're turning red. Oh, hi. That's like, this is like a drunk leprechaun smoking his ukulele pipe here. Well, hello, everybody, and welcome back to yet another fantastic episode of From North to Wharf, the podcast that is all about our favorite shows from our favorite animation studio, Bento Box Entertainment. And we are also dedicated to the passionate, dedicated, and most extremely good-looking fans of shows like Bob's Burgers, The Great North, and Duncanville.
Smoldering.
Thank you. That's what I was going for.
We like you Central Parkers, too. We like
yes, we like those folks also. Well, we are Mike, JB, and Keisuke.
Hey, everybody.
Hello.
Howdy. And this podcast is brought to you today by Agretsuko Wasabi Peas. This is one of the greatest things about living in Los Angeles. You're really close to genuine, wacky Japanese stuff. And
is it candy?
No, these are really Agretsuko Wasabi Peas. These are hot and spicy. Just
So
like
freeze-dried, like they're like chips?
Mm-hmm.
Nope, they're still just little balls.
Oh.
So these are hot green balls to enjoy in your mouth.
That's why I like to keep. Never mind.
Go on.
Good catch.
I'm gonna censor myself.
I'm a huge fan of Japanese candy. Like anything like the gummies, ramune, high chews, all that stuff is just great. So all about that. And they make amazing snacks.
They really do. I'll have to remember to find some and send you a box from any of the Japanese stores around here.
We only have like 2 stores. But there was a mega store here that was incredible, but it shut down. It was huge.
No, the absolute greatest Japanese snack that I ever saw down here was Sailor Moon fish sausage.
Interesting choice.
It was. It did not. However, it turned out it does not travel well through the postal service.
Okay. I was gonna say it sounded like it was the best looking one, but you didn't say it was the best tasting one. So.
No, matter of fact, yeah. I'm not going to eat sausage made out of Sailor Jupiter.
It was. Ooh.
Sailor sausage is never a good thing. So
I was curious. Like, I would love to be a fly on the wall during that pitch. Like, hey, we want Sailor Moon to sponsor this, and they're like probably thinking like, okay, it's probably like a toy or candy or gum or a brush or comb. No, it's fish sausage. Yeah, let's do that. Let's totally do that. I just don't see how that works.
Well, they wouldn't do it if somebody wasn't going to buy it. So
it's true.
Yes, me. I'm the one guy who's responsible for the entire line of Sailor Moon fish sausages. Let's move on to the news. Mike, what do you got for us today?
Keisuke, you're getting better with that. It's great. A couple bits of news here. Bento Box news. Bento Box has actually launched an animation studio in Australia with Princess Pictures down there. I'm not too familiar with Princess Pictures, but it comes a year after Bento struck a deal with them for first looks. And I believe what that means is Bento gets first shot at anything that Princess Pictures creates. Correct me if I'm wrong on that, Keisuke? Like a first look deal, is that what that means?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. But they're dubbing it. I'm not sure if this is what the new collaboration is called, but they're calling it Princess Bento Studios, and they'll produce animated content out of Melbourne, Australia, and will make content platforms or content for platforms in the U.S. and Australia and any other countries that may have a deal with Princess
Bento.
Yeah.
Princess Bento.
Yeah. And along with that, Paradise PD season 3 is now streaming on Netflix as well. So that is your news, Keisuke.
Thank you very much, Mike, for the news. Okay, I'll fix that later.
Uh-oh.
Anyhow, it's time for the big From North to Wharf interview. And for this week, we go to JB for his expert interviewing skills. JB, who did we interview this week?
You are too nice, KSK. This week we actually interviewed the great Adam Driver. I'm kidding. We didn't get Adam Driver. I know, like John Oliver is just like, no, how could you say that? It's like, no, we didn't get him. Unfortunately, he's busy doing big things. Maybe someday. But
Well, Darth Whinius.
Yeah, he did do Artie the Artist for Bob's. Maybe someday we'll get Adam Driver. But we got the next best Adam that you can get, which is Adam Wilson, from the Bob's Burgers Facebook page. He's the moderator. He was actually on your Valentine's Day episode. He got to be a guest part on there, and we're going to talk to Adam about how that happened, how that came to be, and kind of get to know him a little bit and his love for Bob's and how that started. And Keisuke, you're a big part of that too.
Cool. All right, can't wait to hear it. Let's go.
So hey everyone, welcome back to From North to Wonder Wharf. This is another interview segment where we're going to be interviewing Adam Wilson, the moderator of the Bob's Burgers fan page on Facebook. Also, he also is a trivia genius. He's come to numerous of my Bob's Burgers trivias at the movie theater and has swept, from what I remember, 3 in a row. And we'll have another one coming up in March, so I'm sure you'll go for your 4th. And also, a family man. He has Zoe and his wife, and Zoe's a little Louise from what I've seen on Facebook. So I just thought we could welcome you to the show. I know that you've had some exciting stuff going on in the Bob's world for quite a while, but recently there's been a big one where you were actually on the Valentine's Day episode.
I had a character, yes, that was based off of my wife and myself.
How amazing is that?
I can't even put it into words. It was amazing. Just sitting there watching it and seeing the characters come on the screen, my jaw just dropped. I was so happy.
Now, real big question here is, I know that isn't your voice, but
No.
You told me you think it's David Herman that may have done it.
Yeah, I wasn't sure but it sounded like another character that David Herman does.
And then your wife, Melanie, was done by Jenny Slate.
It definitely sounded like Jenny Slate, yeah.
It did sound like Jenny Slate when I watched it too.
Yeah, because it's the same thing on IMDb. It does have a voice actor listed, and it's someone else, but it could be the other woman at the end of the episode that talks. So I'm not sure if it was Jenny Slate or not, but it definitely sounded dead on Jenny Slate.
I mean, just in general, it was so cool just to see both of you in that world.
Yeah.
Even though you were complaining in the episode about stuff, but I was like, still, it's so cool. How did this come about? How did this happen? I mean, not that we're all just listening and writing it down so we can try to get in there too, but how did you get on the show?
I got really lucky. Years ago, 2 years ago, I jokingly commented to Mario Dana that he could feel free to use my likeness as a joke. And last year, I ended up going into the hospital in April. I got really sick, and it turned out my liver was almost in complete failure. So I was in the hospital and posted about it just because I was really bored. And I was Facebook friends with Dave Creek, who was the lead character designer on the show. And he messaged me one night in March, or like early March after I was in the hospital for a couple of weeks, and said, he's like, I know something that's going to make you feel better. I'm going to get you and your wife on a show. I just found out we need a couple for a Valentine's Day episode. So I'm going to try to get you, your wife, and your daughter in the show. And it turns out they weren't able to use our daughter because they didn't need a kid. But Dave's like, this is the best thing for you to make you feel better, and got design characters off of it.
And that's just one of the cool things about Bob's. It's just like, as you said, you were just making posts and just trying to like reach out to people just to like be like, hey, this is what's going on. I'm bored. There's no one to talk to here. And Bob's people came in and started talking and hanging out with you. Basically like chit chat with you during like your testing or sitting there or like infusions or anything like that. Was it kind of like on a rotation, or just like people would just kind of like check in and like talk to you all the time?
People would just check in. It was amazing, just the outpouring of support from people that work on the show that I've never met in person. They only knew me through Facebook, but Keisuke, for one, gotta brag about him. he checked on me quite a few times, would message me at night. And that was the nice thing, being on the East Coast, East timeline. He's in California, so for me, it could be midnight or 1 a.m. I would be a little bit depressed because I was lonely. I couldn't sleep. And then out of nowhere, a voice actor on one of my favorite episodes, actually, Hawk and Chick, really solidified my love for Bob's. Keisuke reached out and messaged me quite often just to see how I was doing, try to boost my hopes a little bit. Mario Joseph Diana, he messaged me quite often. He reached out a lot. We Zoom chatted while I was in the hospital for my bed, which was nice. He would call and we talked for an hour, hour and a half some nights. Keisuke even sent me a get well package, which he said he wanted it to be like a kid coming home from camp. So he sent a box of just Bob's memorabilia to my house. So for when I was released, I had a package to come home and unwrap, which was amazing.
So that was something to look forward to.
Oh, it definitely was. Like after the transplant that I had, I was in the hospital for another 6 days after the transplant. And on that 5th day, I'm like, I'm going home tomorrow and I get to see all the stuff that I got.
And you've been a moderator for how long on the fan club?
3 years, I think.
Now, I know there's got to be some good stories there. But I have to ask a couple things in particular. I wanted to ask you about it. Why did you want to be a moderator?
The admins actually reached out to me after I'd been a member for maybe a year and a half, and they just liked the content that I posted. I was always interacting with other members, and they asked if I wanted to do it, and I was like, yeah. Like, our Bob's page is so supportive. People post constantly about, I'm having this problem in my life. Can you guys offer some support? And everyone's there to support each other. And it's, to me, one of the best pages to be involved in as a member. And to be able to help run the page was a gift to be able to do that.
It's also got to be pretty cool because you have the power to get rid of some posts. And which is my next question is, what is the post that keeps returning that you're like, God, I just wish I could make this thing go away?
The one we have, it's this post again, is the burger lingerie.
Yes.
It's really weird. You forget about it for like a month, and then someone tries to post it again.
And then someone from the group, didn't they draw it in Bob's style, her wearing it, and Bob just sitting there on the bed just like, yeah.
Yeah, I was actually just about to mention that. I wish I could remember the person's name. I know I have it saved in my phone because I have probably 30 different folders of Bob's stuff for the group in my phone. But someone did draw them in their bedroom, and Linda's wearing the lingerie.
Another question I have for you as well is, like, do you guys have nicknames as moderators?
We do. I probably can't say them on the podcast.
How do you get a nickname?
I don't know if the other admins are going to be mad when they see this or not, but I'll tell you, we earn our nicknames, and you're not a full-fledged admin or moderator until you get your nickname. It took me like a year and a half to get mine, but usually it's when there's an argument somewhere and you either delete the comment or delete a post. That person will get mad and message you and call you a name, or just do it in the comments and call you a name, and that's your nickname.
But so we've talked about the most, like, not hated, but like disliked post that sometimes comes up, which is the lingerie. But do you have a post that's like your favorite? Like the thing that you're like, that was like the best post that ever came through?
I mean, the lingerie, the first time it came through was amazing.
It just took a turn real bad.
Seeing it hundreds of times, it got old pretty quickly. I mean, really, the person that drew Linda in it, that one got us all. We were like, someone finally did it.
And then I know, like, maybe people don't know this, but like on the fan page, there are people like Keisuke. There are like Mario's on there, and they host Zoom meetups and stuff like we did over Christmas, and fans can come on and ask questions. And I mean, even Simon shows up occasionally for those as well. But they've even openly stated that other people on the show look through the Facebook page occasionally for things.
Podland actually reached out to the fan club and got opinions of what people wanted in the keychains, and that's how they came up with them.
Oh, that's very cool. And he just reached out recently about burgers for the burger board for cons.
Yeah, I'm excited to see which one gets put on a t-shirt for that.
And then a couple other questions. These are ones I've asked for other interviews as well, but I kind of like to ask people. What's your favorite character on the show? Who is it?
Out of the Belchers, I would have to say Bob, just because I don't know what comes with having a kid, but as soon as Zoe was born, I became a pro at dad jokes and puns.
Like
I relate to Bob a lot. Oh yeah, definitely. Like it just comes naturally with the territory. But I love Bob is definitely one of my favorite Belchers. Teddy is one that I love Teddy. And then non-Belcher kids, I love Zeke.
And then for I think Teddy's one of the most misunderstood characters, because it's either like people love him or they hate him, and it's like you kind of have to wrap your head around like who he is.
Yeah, yeah,
and like all the bad stuff that's happened to him over the years.
Yeah, like I mean, I've only had one episode where he was a little much for me, and it was just the trip when he kind of did almost the single white female. If anybody knows that movie, where he was pretending to be Bob while cooking his lunch and talking about marrying Linda. Like that one was a little bit over the line.
Mm-hmm.
It was creepy, but it was funny.
Yes.
But that was one of the few times where I'm like, oh, they did that to Teddy. Why would they do that with him? But I love Teddy. He's such I mean, minus the weird attraction to Linda, he's a great friend, and he treats the Belchers like they're his family. I mean, he's a great character, I think.
And then what got you into Bob's?
This is another sappy story. My health is horrible, or it was. I actually had, when I was 35, I was 34, so 3 years ago, I had a massive heart attack, which I didn't know I have genetically high cholesterol, and I've always been skinny, so I always ate whatever I wanted, lots of fried foods. I was always pretty active, so I didn't think my health was an issue, but out of nowhere, I had a massive heart attack, and I should have actually died. My doctor said that he's never seen anyone with a 30% blockage there live, and I had 100%. So I was lucky to be alive, but at the same time, like for the first probably 3 months afterwards, I couldn't do anything. I was exhausted. It takes a lot of you when your heart's not working properly. So a lot of me just laying on the couch feeling sorry for myself, because I couldn't be the dad that I needed to be, because I was just tired and I couldn't physically do stuff with Zoe. And for months I was just down on myself, and my brother-in-law kept pushing me for a couple of years to give Bob by, and I never did. So finally I was sitting on the couch and I put Bob's on, and it was the first time I had laughed in months of one of the scenes. And from that point I just started watching it. And then Zoe, I let her watch the first 2 seasons with me, which I shouldn't have done because she was 5 at the time, but she and I just bonded on it. And yeah, I mean, it definitely, we were already really close being a stay-at-home dad with her. I mean, she was my little mini, but the show, it was something that we could focus on together besides like superheroes, because she did grow up watching superhero movies, but we both immediately became obsessed with Bob's. We were watching Art Crawl, and when they first showed Gail's paintings, Zoe and I just both, our jaws dropped, and we just looked at each other with a big smile, and like that was what kind of got us hooked on the show originally. And it's kept my spirits up too throughout the couple of years, last few years, because I do like a lot of our members that people are pretty open about it on the page. A lot of us have suffered from anxiety and depression, and I have both. And there have been times where I'll start to get depressed, and Bob's is my comfort show. I put that on, and immediately I start to feel better.
I've seen that too on there a lot, and it's amazing that it's just so cool that Lauren and the creators created this show where people definitely have like anxiety and depression on the show, and they find ways to kind of work through it, and it's able to like reach people as well who watch it.
Yeah,
because they're just so relatable.
It's very relatable.
Adam, I know that for you, when Dave reached out to you, he was the old character designer for the show, and he has actually recently passed away due to like a skydiving accident, which is like the craziest thing for me, because I was just like, I finally like figured out who he was and what he did, and I was like, he created like all of this character wise, and I'm
Yeah, it's cliche, but it's a little comforting knowing that he was doing what he loved when it happened. It's sad he was so young, but I mean, he was an amazing guy. Like I don't know if you've seen like his mini bonsai treehouse sculptures.
Yes, I have. They're posted all over his Instagram, and I believe his family has kept his Instagram account up so people can continue looking at those.
I mean, he brought a lot of beauty into the world. From talking to people, I mean, to me, I did get to talk to him throughout the year a little bit, like during the process. And, you know, I got my final message from him was, hey, it looks like you and your wife made it fully into the episode, lines and all. We had to lighten your hair color a little bit, but hey, you're immortal now, which was amazing. But just the fact that, you know, the character designer on My Favorite Show reached out to little me to do something amazing like that for me. It just shows what kind of an amazing person he was, and that's what I've heard from anybody that knows him. I've luckily talked to a couple of his family members in private, and when I talked to them, I told them that the little I knew Dave, he was a kind soul with a little bit of a hard ass sprinkled on top of it, and they're like, that's him to a T. I mean, it takes a lot of guts to do what he did with his hobby, but I mean, he was an amazing person. And from what I hear from anybody that knew him, he was like that with anybody that he knew. He made their lives better.
I just want to say, Adam, I'm just really excited and glad that you came on and we got to talk and hear about your story and how you came to be a moderator and like your health issues and struggles and how you got to basically connect with Bob's people and the fans, and everyone just kind of reached out and made sure that you were in a good place, and that I'm just glad you're doing well.
Thank you. It's really cool to be on here. I appreciate you guys inviting me. Like, this is one I can knock off my bucket list. I've always wanted to do a podcast, so.
Well, we apologize that it's this podcast. Yeah. Thank you very much.
I'm happy with it. I couldn't be more pleased that it's this one. I get to talk about something I know about. My favorite show.
Sunshine or in shadow. Oh, Adam boy, we love you. So be out of there in no time. We'll be doing interviews and doing just fine. On from North to Wharf. Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, JB, for that wonderful interview with Adam Wilson of the Bob's Burgers gigantic Facebook fan group. Now, this is possibly the biggest fan group of Bob's anywhere in the galaxy. They have, at this point, over 171,000 members and counting. I was very fortunate to become part of the group when it was about 10,000 members. And it's been a real, like, an immense joy. And it's really awesome to see it grow into this thing. So if you want to be with a bunch of powerhouse Bob's Burgers fans, go to this group. They'll welcome you. They love you there too.
Absolutely.
It's a great place to be.
Yeah.
Which means, folks, with the big interview done for this week, it's time for... It's time for the Fan of the Week. Every week we pick a fan off of social media for a shout out because they do some freaking great art. And for this, we turn over to Mike. Who do we have this week, Mike?
Well, this week we have someone who I'm sure the fan base is well aware of because you've definitely seen his art on multiple websites, and I'm sure we've reposted some of his stuff before. But he is Meat Popsicle on Instagram. That's _meat popsicle _. Yeah, it's not the greatest of flavors. I think it's similar to the Sailor Moon sausage.
Yeah.
But, yeah, he does great stuff, and we'll post some of his photos over here.
In that area. No, this area.
Or over here. I'm not sure
how.
Yeah,
we're not. It's somewhere over here.
It's going to be on one of the sides. But he does the giant VHS boxes that you've seen. He's done one for Banjo. He's done one for Hawk and Chick. We actually showed a couple of his photos last week when JB showed off some of his merch. So, but we'll post more here. And he's done more than just Bob's Burger stuff. He does Gremlins, Nightmare on Elm Street, and they're big pieces too. Like he does, I believe he also does the small ones, but like I've seen ones that are at least like 2 or 3 feet tall.
I believe he's had at least one art show where the entire walls and all of the walls were decorated with his gigantic VHS boxes.
Nice. Yeah, I'm looking at. He did one for the original '89 Batman, and it's next. You got the original Batman box next to the piece he did. Again, photo here, and it's at least 3 feet tall, but they're gigantic and they look amazing.
I love his work because it's so unusual. It actually borders on the bizarre. And what person goes to an ancient, out of date format, no, totally obsolete for the past like 20 years at this point. You can't even get a machine for it anymore, and makes this incredible art out of the old VHS boxes. It looks, I know many of you are probably not old enough to remember going to places like Odyssey Video or Blockbusters or 2020 Video or any of these places, but this is stuff that was, when I was in my 40s, that I would go into these places and spend hours browsing among videotape boxes, and to see Hawk and Chick turned into one of these things that I used to actually pick up, and now to really be able to pick up these things. And unfortunately, there's no real Hawk and Chick movie yet. Not yet. Yeah, but once there is, cool. I have a couple of his things up there on my wall, which of course you can't see, it's all green screen. But as soon as Hawk and Chick movies are made, I'm going to take out a video machine and I'm going to get that video. I'm going to get that movie. I'm going to put it onto VHS tape, just so the box set can be real. So
that'd be so
Jason
cool.
Komodo, a meat popsicle. He's wonderful work.
He also goes into like just the minute detail that you wouldn't even think of. Like he creates little stickers that you usually see on the side of like the VHS cassettes. He makes the actual VHS cassettes as well. I don't know if he repurposes old ones and just puts fresh stickers on them, but he thinks of every little thing. And he also does old NES cartridges, Nintendo cartridges.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, so I'm looking at one that's the old Friday the 13th game photo here.
He really likes horror stuff. I know that.
Yeah, right? It's amazing. It's amazing on both sides of you, whatever side it may be on.
But he's a super nice guy, too. Like, he comments and likes and talks about everything Bob's.
He also does...
I was just saying, he's a super, super nice guy. He is all about Bob's. He loves to interact with fans. And like when he posted the VHS tapes, I reached out to him and just was like, hey, are you making extras? And he's like, I don't know. I just kind of made it for fun. I'll let you know. And then he made a very short run of it. I think maybe like 10. I was so excited I got one. And with the detailed stuff, like the Please Be Kind Rewind stickers or the Western stickers, like he's just so good at what he does.
And I'm on his Instagram right now. It says DM for commission, so I assume he is open for commissions at the moment. And he did send me a preview of his next piece, and I don't want to say what it is because I'm going to leave him to reveal that. But it looks fantastic, and the smaller details that he's putting into this next piece are chef's kiss. So
very cool.
What is his Instagram handle again?
So _meatpopsicle_.
Fan of the week. Fan of the week.
Introduce a brand new segment, fresh from our minds. It's now coming at you. We're going to do the first Case K's Corner. And this is where Case K gets to answer questions. Like,
oh, no, he fell asleep again.
Oh, no, not again. Oh, wait, he's back. He's back, everybody. There he is. So our lovely host, Case K, has actually reached out to the fans through the Facebook page and wanted to know what you guys are interested in. What do you want to know about him? What was his career like? What's making a commercial like? What's doing voice acting like? How is it interacting with Kristen, Dan Mintz, H. John, like all those people that we, of course, would love to have on the show if you want to come on. And he can give us at least a little blip into that world. So without further ado, Case Case had 30 years of acting in Hollywood. That's a long time. That's 3 decades. And he's been privileged to do 3 episodes of our favorite show, Bob's Burgers. And who knows what other things he's working on. I mean, he's always doing stuff. He's also been on Mad Men. He's also been on Perry Mason. He's been on lots of different things that you may not know yet. You may only know him as Hawk, but we know him as Keisuke. So without further ado, let's go ahead and start asking some questions that you guys asked him for our first Keisuke's Corner.
All right, now before I actually get into questions, we had a couple of comments from folks. I just wanted to say thank you just for reaching out to us. Julia says outstanding, so thank you for that. Kevin thought you only appeared on 2 episodes, but then of course he remembered, so thanks, Kevin. Christina said this is awesome. No, you're awesome, Christina. Thank you for submitting there. So let's get into the very absolutely hearts for everyone in the group. So the first question we have is from Sebastian. What is your favorite fan art that you have received?
Oh, man. You know, I have so many choices, but this is something that I just received in the mail.
Ooh.
This is from Caitlin Mandarino. See if we can see that. Yep. Look, we can, look at that.
Oh.
Very nice.
Nice.
And she also wrote me a real life fan letter. Now, that's something I never thought I would receive. You know, growing up as a kid, you write this stuff and you think maybe you'll get famous enough one day. Well, I'm really grateful to Caitlin for creating this little customized little piece of art for me. Well, you can't see it because, there we go. Yep. And also make me feel like I actually belong on a red carpet somewhere. So thank you, Caitlin. Thank you, Sebastian, for the question.
So the next question that I have for you, Keisuke, is from Anthony. Anthony wanted to know, do you prefer voice acting over physical acting?
These days, yes, I do, because I'm getting really old. And voice acting is much easier on the body. But really, the balance is tough because once you're in the recording booth, you actually have to work so much harder than you do if you're just on camera. Because when you're on camera, your body can take a lot of the load. You know, how you look, how your head is tilted, you know, what direction you're pointing. And that can communicate a lot about your character. But on the voice acting, it's all in the voice. And at the end of a voice session, it's exhausting as heck, but it still beats waking up at 4 a.m. and driving 3 hours out to the desert to shoot a scene for Perry Mason.
Fantastic. So the next one comes from Adam Wilson, of course, the person we interviewed today. Adam asks, what is your favorite person to work with on the show, cast or crew?
Without a question, it's Lauren Bouchard himself. The guy is a master at running a voice session. When I went in, both times I went in, we were finished with the recording within a couple hours. And I was expecting to have to do multiple takes to get corrections, get adjustments. He knew what he wanted to hear, and he was able to tell me in such simple language how to do it. And it was spectacular. I really wanted to stay there longer, but we were done. I couldn't stick around much longer.
So the next question I have, well, for one, I want to point out that Josephine was a little upset that Adam stole her question, but maybe Josephine will have another one for us because we're fine to have her, of course, ask another question. But Anytime. So the next one we have is from Brittany. Brittany, she wants to know if she can ask 2 questions, Keisuke. Will you allow 2 questions?
Yes, I will allow it. Good. Make my day and tell me what the questions could be.
So interesting. It looks like she only asked 1 actually, as I look at it. So okay. Sorry, Keisuke, it's just 1. So yeah, she wants to know, what was the most intimidating project you have ever worked on?
The most intimidating project was doing stand-up comedy. I took a class at West Los Angeles College, and the graduation ceremony was getting up on stage at, I think it was the Comedy Cellar. It was someplace on Melrose Boulevard in Hollywood, and do 10 minutes of stand-up. And the 20 minutes before I went up, I was actually dry heaving behind the curtain because that was terrifying. Even when the audience is filled with students from your class, it's not fun to suck. And I didn't suck, but I'm no Kristen Shaw.
Did you prepare stuff? Like, did you have stuff that you had written before and tried out before, or was this all new for this show?
Oh yeah, no, we prepared this in class. We worked on stuff with each other. We developed material and tried. Occasionally, we would. I did stick in a couple of new things at the very end, which I stole from Johnny Carson, which is not cool, by the way. Don't steal if you can if you can help it. And yeah, I guess I made it even more intimidating because I knew that probably 3/4 of the people in that audience had seen the stuff that I had just stolen from Johnny. And I'm sorry, Johnny. I know, Johnny, my apologies. So.
All right. Oh, looks like we got Adam back for another question here. If you could have an episode with Hawk hanging out with any character on the show, who would it be?
That would be Louise. I know that there's a lot of wonderful secondary characters on the show, but just the relationship that Louise has with Hawk is really just so heartwarming, because the way I see it, Louise really misses out on having a grandfather that she really loves. And she got Big Bob, but she doesn't seem to really care. She doesn't really seem to care for her Big Bob, you know what I'm saying? But it would be wonderful to get a whole episode just hanging out with Louise, and possibly just talking about when you have to quit. When Hawk had to quit having Hawk and Chick, and he had to deal with it. He had to go on with his life. Louise is an 11-year-old, and how do you communicate that effectively to an 11-year-old? And it would be, I think it'd be a very beautiful episode.
I definitely agree with that, because then I think we would get a little bit of Bob as well. Like, what's it going to be like when Bob quits? And maybe we'll finally get an answer. Is Louise or Tina going to take over the restaurant?
Yeah. Definitely not going to be Gene.
No. Unless it's, what was it? Show tunes and foods and mouth foods. Yeah, that's what he would be doing. So I have, of course, a question from Mario Deanna. He wants to know, why don't you age? Of course he'd ask something like that.
I have to say that it is from all of the ambergris placenta that I eat. Yep, I slice it up like sushi. I fry it up like tempura. I smear it in my earlobes. This is ambergris tempura.
Those are 18-year-old earlobes if I've ever seen them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and occasionally when you find a rogue hair growing in the ear, go right after it. Just get that. Just get it out. Nothing ages you faster than hair in your ears.
Such nice shine too with that skin.
I don't even have the touch-up feature on.
Just giving away all your secrets, Casey. You can't do that. You gotta write a book and let them buy it. So the next question is from Josephine. I apologize if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. I'm not great with names. But they would like to know, who is your favorite Bob's Burgers secondary character?
It's got to be regular size Rudy. I think I fell in love with him during the Great Train Robbery episode. As I felt so bad for him, but he's perfectly happy just sitting in the beanbag chair and letting life go past at 3 miles an hour on the train.
And actually, looks like this was a two-part question. And I apologize. I should have read these beforehand. But they would also like to know, what episode of Bob's Burgers do you like to watch over and over again for comfort, for happiness?
Well, I'm one of these weird types. As an actor, I really enjoy crying. Watching movies. I'm a real embarrassment to anybody I'm with, because I'm always bawling at the end of sweet films and such. So the all-time favorite ones are the ones that really get me, all misty-eyed. So of course that would mean Hawk and Chick. That's an episode that even makes hardened, cynical executives at Fox Television cry. But Carpe Museum is also really just one of those achingly sweet episodes, especially at the very end where Louise calls Bob Daddy for the first time, and possibly the only time. I don't think she's ever done that again. And although this last one that doesn't make me cry, it's one of my all-time favorites because it shows a character so powerfully. And that was the first Boys for Now episode with Louise.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
So the next question I have now, this name I'm going to butcher, so I'm so sorry. You are free to comment and correct me. Please do by all means. But Nathalie, I'm going to ask a question from her. Will there be more Hawk and Chick episodes?
Oh boy, yeah, I really, really hope so. I'm afraid I don't have any control over that. I'm not in the writers' union, and if I wrote any script, I'm sure it'll just get thrown into the circular file where all unsolicited ideas come from. So again, I really adore bringing Hawk to life. And the first time I booked the character for the role, I literally felt faint. The second time I was running around the house, cheering, saying, yes, yes, I'm coming back. They're bringing Hawk back again. So if they bring him back for another episode as Hawk, my head would probably explode, and the whole house would be shattered. And then I reassemble myself just to come back to bring Hawk to life again. If I could get a chance to do that, 100 times, I would love doing that. But at this time, we don't have any news about a new Hawk and Chick episode.
So are you saying that Princess Bento needs to come up with a Hawk and Chick show?
They do, centered around the sponsorship of Sailor Moon fish sausage, for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's just a little jump over to Japan.
I think a Hawk and Chick episode in Australia for this new business venture that they got. I think that's in order. Hawk Down Under, if you will.
Oh, yeah.
I got to work on that immediately. So we have Hawk's voice here, and now he's going to put the shrimp on the barbie. Hello there. I like a crocodile. Give me a crocodile, I will eat and wrestle crocodile for no reason at all.
Sounds so natural.
Mm-hmm. Hawk Down Under, coming soon to Fox.
If not, we'll make it here for North to Wharf.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
All right. So Rachel asks, and I apologize because I don't know this particular scene, but was that a real laugh by H. John when you said he'd change shampoo in the second Hawk and Chick episode?
Yeah, it was. I heard he did that in the original table read when we did it, even though he was calling in from New York City. I guess he found the line funny enough that he chuckled when he read it. He also did that on the first time we did Hawk and Chick. That at the very end where he's narrating the seaweed monster exploding, he says, "Oh, you stabbed me. I'm dying. Oh, I exploded. I don't know why I exploded." He did it exactly like that in the table read too, and the whole audience was dying because it is just like watching the old Japanese TV, show called like Goranger or Gatchaman, Battle of the Planets. These monsters always get stabbed. They always blow up. They're not made out of C4, and yet, boom, there they go.
So the next question I have for you, Keisuke, is from Alex.
Okay.
Are you privy to any info about the upcoming movie, fingers crossed, on a release date soon?
No, I am afraid that I don't know anything about this movie, about the Burgers of Bob's. Now, I do have a certain set of talents, but should I know any of these things, and you find out, I will have to hunt myself. I will need to find myself, and I will need to kill myself. So no, I don't know a thing. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean,
get something out of him, JB.
Yeah. I know this was a good question, Alex. We were hoping, but I know that from even people that we've been told, this is highly under lock and key. No one really knows much except Lauren and Wendy and Lizzie and a few other people.
But even if we did know, we couldn't say anything, Link.
Yes, we can't.
All right. So wrapping up the questions here from Caitlin, and it says, working with the cast, are they as fun and funny as they seem in the interviews?
They really are. You really see who they really are in there. The first time I went in the recording studio, the first time I went into the table read, it was so intimidating because these people have all been professional stand-ups and comedy writers for I don't know, collectively like 5,000 years. They are so good, and they're so fast on their feet at getting changes or responding to something you do or something someone else does, and they are really, really expert at building something hilarious out of articles and prepositions. It's incredible. So yeah, they're really that fun. They're really that funny. And the last time I was up there, I got to chat with Dan Minsala. We ran into each other in the lunchroom, and we were chatting over bagels about stuff, about how Facebook ran or how Twitter presences work. And it was really great. It was like I was allowed into the big people's room.
You get to sit at the adult table.
Yes. No longer did I have my turkey cut up for me. I could cut it myself.
All right, well, that actually wraps it up for all the questions that we have, and wraps up the first episode of Keisuke's Corner. Thank you to all the people who submitted questions, and most importantly, thank you, Keisuke, for taking time to answer the questions from the fans.
You're very welcome. It's a real delight to be invited here to Lechuga Tomate and El Grande Norte de Jorfa. Thank you very much for inviting me, gentlemen.
Absolutely, and we'd love to have you back sometime.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, okay, sure.
Okay.
Make sure you validate Mr. Hawashi's parking on the way out. There it is.
So, is he just gonna keep hanging out?
I think he is. I mean, we're not paying him for this, but he said he wants to finish the episode.
Hey, guys!
Keisuke, you just missed Keisuke. He was just here.
Really? Wow. Well, that must have been pretty cool.
It was very cool.
I heard he smells good.
He has skin that shines.
Very young looking.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's enough of this foolishness.
It's better every week.
This happens when you're playing the ukulele with your wrist sitting on the strings. Well, sorry for that foolishness, folks, but thank you once again for joining us for another edition of From North to Wharf, the podcast that is all about you and the incredible shows over at Bento Box Entertainment, without whom we would have no lives whatsoever.
None.
Our thanks to our listeners, to our supporters, and to everybody else in the universe who likes to talk Bob's Burgers and Great North and all that stuff. Mike, let's throw it over to you. How can people talk to us if they want to talk to us?
Yes. If you want to find us on Facebook, just search from North to Wharf. You'll find our Facebook page there. On Twitter, Twitter and Instagram, we have From North to Wharf. I apologize. If you want to email us, it's from northtowharf@gmail.com. And soundcloud.com/From North to Wharf for the audio versions of all our episodes.
Fantastic. Thank you, Mike. Oh, and JB, you have something to tell the people, right? You got something great.
Yes, I do. Yes. So we do have an announcement of our next interviewee. So without further ado, this person started off their career making a funny YouTube video, mixing Archer and Bob's, and then flew across the pond. I guess it'd be this way. No, you know what? It's hard to do it in Zoom. He came from there and went to here and got the job of working at Bob's Burgers as a retake coordinator, and then became the director that we all know and love as the great Simon Chong, the creator of all of our amazing Pride artwork. And if you are following him on Instagram, his art is always there. He does amazing Bob work. He is going to grace this Zoom screen and talk to us about the show. Maybe we'll get him to slip about a movie. I don't think that's going to happen though, but he's more than happy to talk to us. So if you have questions for Simon, which we hope you do, go ahead and submit them below in the comments section. Tell us whatever you'd like to ask him. We're more than happy to go ahead and ask away, and we'll name you in the episode, of course, and be like, so-and-so asked this, and he will answer your questions on the next episode. So I hope you guys enjoy that. It'll be a lot of fun for us, and I hope it'll be a lot of fun for you guys.
Yes. And before we get out of here, please remember to rate, review, and subscribe, and that way you do not miss any future episodes. And also follow us on Instagram, and all our information will be there as well. So,
thanks again, everybody, for joining us on North to Wharf. Don't forget, new episodes of Bob's and the Great North on tonight. Watch them and enjoy. And for Mike, myself, and JB, we'll see you next time on From the Great North to Wonder Wharf. Away, I'm bound away from north to wharf.
nice.
I like that.